I'm Casey O'Brien. I go to Seminole State, and this is my student ID number. I will send it to you, Professor. In the field of criminal justice, criminology can be defined as studies that correlate to criminal activity and criminal behaviors. It identifies ways to prevent and control and potentially rehabilitate those who don't abide by the laws, also known as criminals. Classical criminology began with Cesar Beccaria and Jeremy Bentham's publications that regarded punishment to the offender of a criminal action. Beccaria declared that punishment should be swift, and once it's decided on, it doesn't change and it stays like that punishment. Beccaria felt that a quick punishment was a deterrence to others who would want to commit a crime or who considered trying to commit a crime. Bentham, on the other hand, his ideology was to instill the fear of punishment to reduce crime, or threaten punishment to reduce crime, which ultimately means that the consequence would outweigh whatever benefit an individual saw in committing the crime in the first place. Punishment under the classical theory should be applied to fit the crime and relate to the action, as well as still having regard to the individual's due process rights as well as their human rights. Essentially, the threat of the punishment should deter criminals from committing further crimes or committing crimes altogether. Classical criminology theorists believe that individuals have the free will to choose whether to commit a crime or not, to participate in one, or different options apply where they can understand there's better ways to obtain whatever they would like to obtain. On the other hand, neoclassical criminology theory is referred to as positivism. Neoclassical belief is that the behaviors of an individual who wants to commit a crime aren't their own. Neoclassical factors such as social groups, like who they hang out with, their environment, where they grew up, the community, was the community treated well by surrounding communities or government officials, their genetics, does mom have it, does dad have it, what's going on in the family, or their socioeconomic status, do they have a lot of money, do they not have a lot of education, they all play a factor in the individual's actions that aren't in their control. The neoclassical criminology we know today is stemmed from positivism, but it focuses more on a heightened punishment. That the moral character of an individual and the choices they make when the opportunity to commit a crime arises, whether they do that or not, as a result of their peers, their financial standing, genetics, how they were brought up. In my opinion, neoclassical criminology, or positivism, provides offenders and criminals with a way out of their actions, why they did it, to blame it on everybody else, anything else but taking responsibility for what they've done. Whether they've had little money, their parents taught them something, how they were brought up, pressures from their friends. While the environment and people's friends, their money, all I see is a push factor to commit a crime, individuals still have their own moral compass of what is really right and wrong. It might skew from other people's, but they still understand there's morally correct ways to obtain the same thing. It's just easier to steal stuff or commit a crime rather than get a job. A person who wants to commit a crime and faces a punishment already, or knows they could be punished and still commits crimes, is still willingly doing so, and they can't put the fault on anyone but themselves. And I just feel that neoclassical criminology or positive theory really allows them to put it on anybody else but themselves. So that is my discussion on the neoclassical and classical criminology theories.